at alexjoneslive.com. Shock video, woman 21, a beautiful young lady, dies after workers forget to attach rope before throwing her off a bridge at the professional bungee facility. So, I mean, there's the damn rope right there. Let's put that photo up on screen if you can, that you have on my screen. There's the rope right there. And then you can clearly see there's no rope tied to her leg. And she's dead now. Devastating footage out of Brazil shows woman plunged to her death from bridge during rope jump after workers failed to attach the rope. So viewer discretion advised. But again, people try to get me to go bungee jumping, try to get me to go skydiving. And I just say, nope, I'm not going to risk my life just for a thrill. It's not that I'm scared to do it when I was young and more of a moron than I am now. We're all kind of dumb in ways. We all skipped school. I was like 14. The older guys and girls were driving around in a convoy. And we had some Milwaukee's best, with us and stuff, cheapest beer you could get. And we drive out to the countryside, and there's a railroad trestle that's at least 200 feet off this river. And everybody stands around and challenges each other to jump off of it. And finally, I got tired of it and everybody being scared to do it. So I jumped off. It was in the winter, by the way, into freezing water. Thought I pointed my legs down in my hands. Did, but it still hurt, knocked the air out of me. Peeled some of the skin off the top of my fingers from the cuticle. My fingers were bleeding. And it knocked the air out of me, and I almost drowned and barely got back to land. Also had, never had a professional enema, but this was one, unprofessional. Whole bunch of water shot up in me. It was not a good scene. Coming out of the water, crapping myself. And I'm just telling young people out there, I've got so many friends that I've known and people that have gone out at night to a river, jumped off some deal, broke their leg, broke their neck. I know you all have stories too. This type of stuff is stupid. And you're risking your life, and you're doing it for no reason. And the bigger thing is, why don't we risk our time and energy fighting for freedom and educating folks and going to political rallies and going to events? I go to the dangerous political rallies where Antifa says they're coming to kill us because I got to exercise the free speech. I got to get out there. I got to go out and challenge the COVID lockdowns. They're arresting you for being on the street. We had to do that. It was a calculated risk. But just and I'm not putting you down like a skydiver bungee cord. I'm just telling you what I tell my children, ages 23, 22, 18, and 9. Don't take risks that don't matter at the end of the day. Take risk for things that do matter. So here's the footage of them hauling her up like she's a goddess. They're about to throw into a volcano in Hawaii. This is in Brazil. And just throwing her off the edge. It's devastating. And then footage of her beautiful dead body, poor young soul at the bottom. Here it is. I mean, these guys are the biggest idiots I've ever seen. It's negligent manslaughter. They should all at least serve 5 years in jail. I mean, these people are just complete. It's supposed to be a harness. She's got a harness on, but they didn't tie it to it. Unbelievable. Here she is. Oh, not funny now. So, and I can't tell you how many people I've known that get a motorcycle. If you're going to get a motorcycle, if you lived out in the countryside, you had to drive into a factory or a power plant, or you're a police officer, and you're out in the middle of the countryside, statistically, you got to watch out for deer and rabbits and things, but a motorcycle makes sense to save money on the gas. They're a lot of fun. If you got a motorcycle that you trailer, you take out to the hill country, you take out to the desert, then they're great. But I can't tell you how many friends and family, including a coworker, are dead. Joe Jennings, one of our great engineers, out there driving his Harley up in North Austin, Round Rock, and a guy ran a red light and knocked him 100 feet into a telephone pole, and a lady ran up to help him, and she just saw the light go out of his eyes, and he died right there. And I'm not usually a nanny state guy, but I remember saying to Joe Jennings just a few months before, he drove his Harley into work one day, and I said, because, driving around Austin, Texas is like Frogger. I mean, in a car, it's dangerous, and you've at least got some protection. And I said, Joe, because I noticed he was driving to work almost every day. big old Harley. And I said, Joe, he's such a sweetheart. I said, Joe, why don't you drive your car? And he goes, ow, Alex, it's fine. It's safe. Dead. My uncle almost killed in a motorcycle accident. Somebody ran a red light. I mean, I know so many people dead and absolutely their lives shattered by motorcycles. And look, I'm not the nanny state. I'm not saying ban them. I'm not saying don't let you have them. I'm not saying you should wear a helmet unless you want to. I'm just simply saying, why do people risk their lives for thrills, but they won't risk their lives for freedom? Why do people get so upset about their sports team losing or so excited they burn everything down when they win? How does a game matter so much?